Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and in this episode our topic is straps and the question how to enhance the appearance of your watch with very simple and effective measures. Yes, during the last years I had the chance to learn a lot about strap by handling them every day, by selling them in my online shop casebackwatches.com. But I don't want you to see this video as a commercial. You can take every bit of information here and use it with your own strap collection, all right? And if you have your favorite supplier of straps, then you can use every trick and hint here from this video with these products, okay? Absolutely not a problem. And I don't want to ramble here. I will bring straps and watches into the light box and then we will check out decent combinations. And I try then to explain why these combinations are decent, and I will try to explain the method behind it. Because of course you can choose combinations by chance, but there are some rules you can follow. You must follow these rules, but you can follow them to achieve a good looking result quickly and not just by chance. Alright, and now let's do it. Okay, and here we are with some straps and our first point, which is quality. Often people say when you have a luxury watch, you should pair it with a luxury strap, and when you have an affordable piece, then you can go with cheap junk. I'm exaggerating a bit, because I find it not wise. I think you should add the nicest strap you have to a watch, even when it's affordable, and you really like that piece. You can add so much by adding a nice strap. And here you see cheap junk. This is no name, very cheap, and here you have high quality, and you can see the difference in quality, and that's exactly what I'm talking about here, visible quality, all right? I'm not talking here about big brand names. This can be a bit of nonsense. I'm talking about visible quality, and here you see it at first glance, leather quality, stitching quality, everything here is superior. And that's why you should always go with the nicest strap you can afford. At least this is my opinion, and I think I can back it up by showing you this compared to that. There you have a bit of material under the leather to give it that 3D form, and that has a function. More of that in a second. And here you have a very simple strap, Festina by the way. Basically 2 layers of leather glued and stitched together, and if you like this, perfectly fine, but you should consider it a bit more casual than that. All right, so if you have a more casual watch, then I think it's absolutely not a problem and a decent idea to pair it with such a strap. But in case you want to add some more quality and shine to your watch, then you should go with something like that, because this 3D form, here's quarter-band strap, was created to enhance the shine. And the 3D form gives here a nice transition into the watch head compared to that flat strap. Next point is the edge finishing. It's way simpler with these flat straps in most cases like this. Here the leather is folded under and stitched together so that you have a nice closed seam here. And here you have, this is basically glue on the edge. Nothing wrong with that. I do it myself sometimes, but it's more casual. I think that's all you should consider here when you're between a flat strap and a more traditional strap. This is more casual, this is more elegant. Benefit here is they are easier to break in. Sometimes with these flat straps you don't have to break them in at all. You can just put them on the wrist and that's it. And especially with quarter-band straps here, you have to break them in a bit. Right? You can bend them a bit until they're comfortable, or you just wear them for a few days and that's it, all right? Another strength of these more traditional straps with a higher thickness is that you can deliver more impact. If you have a small watch like this 50s tank, which is a very, very small piece, and this could look definitely a bit lost on your wrist, but when you add a very substantial strap, then you could add some impact, a bit more bang on the wrist here. Artists often use something like that, a color wheel. You can buy that on Amazon very, very affordable, or you can just Google color wheel and then you will have it. And there you can see the concept of, for example, complementary colors, which is very often in use. If you see the typical advertising for Christmas, for example, there's green and red on the opposite side of that color wheel, and that's exactly the meaning behind complementary colors. Or if you have something like you have a blue dial, which would go in theory perfectly fine with yellow, and also this you see all the time in advertising and design. But for watches this is a bit drastic. If you see the typical watch dial, let's say you have something, a champagne dial, then we are there, and you could pair it theoretically with a blue strap, would look pretty good, but it's not really available. And so the industry goes with neighboring colors. You have your champagne dial and then you have a bright brown strap, for example. If you mix this together here, then you end up with a brown. And this goes perfectly fine together. And this also you see all the time, that you have a color, a dial color, and then you can pick a color next to it. But this is theory, and to be honest, it's not always super helpful and not always super handy, but I think it's interesting to know this concept of complementary colors or neighboring colors. For example, you have a red dial, then you could, in theory, pair it with a blue strap. But this is not very likely that you have a blue strap in your collection. So the industry gives you normally a, let's say, warm tone here together with a brown strap there. So neighboring colors, very simple. And I will demonstrate how this works in real life. The first thing you can do is just you go with a matching color. Here, for example, this President's watch, black dial, black strap, all good. So you could say, all right, I want to enhance the look here. I want to dress it up, and I could take a black strap, and then you have a different appearance. Looks a bit more formal, a bit more elegant, but we have a 100% matching color, which is very simple in case of black, but with other colors you may have a problem. Because when you take, for example, dive watch from Laurier with a very dark blue. You could now try to find exact that blue, but it's not very likely that you get it. And so what people do is they change another color for that. And when you see now our color wheel and we have a dark blue over there, in theory we could go now with a yellow strap, which is not very realistic. And so as I said, this is a very good method in theory, but not for daily life. But we could add a neighboring color, for example, a red. All right, red strap. Yep, would work. And you also can play with complementary colors when you only have an accent. See that red date there, 14, and this goes together with green. And in fact, we have a nice match here, a complementary match, but it works. This is the Caseback strap in racing green, handmade, and certainly adds something to the watch. And so you see there are some results waiting using this color wheel, but of course you can also do it by experience. And there are some very simple rules. If you add a bright color, then it goes in direction in formal and casual. See that? This looks very, very good. We have a nice contrast. Or you can say, no, I want it a bit more formal. I want a darker color than you are with your red. Or where was my black strap? There it is. And you see immediately it adds more formality, more elegance to the watch. And so this is a bit of a rule of thumb. If you have a bright color with that, goes a bit in direction casual, and with a darker color you add a bit of formality on it, all right? And there we have the next rule of thumb. The darker the color, the more it makes, in this case, an ensemble. So this would look like more like an entire ensemble where you don't differentiate so much between watch head and strap. Same thing with a metal bracelet. When you put it on metal, then you have metal on metal. Not so much of a difference. So the watch and the bracelet is some sort of an entity, and it strengthens the entire ensemble. And when you go with brighter colors or with high contrast, so dark watch, bright strap, then you create massive contrast between head and strap, which makes the watch head pop. See that? When you compare this here, black on black, with this watch, here you have more the feeling of an entity. The entire ensemble is the thing, and here you have two different elements which complement each other. Very interesting look, and this is a bit more bland, but has its function, absolutely. Or take these two vintage tanks here. There you have low contrast between watch head and strap. And so this thing here forms now an entity. Everything goes nicely together, and here the watch head pops more because you have a high contrast. The strap goes in the background here, and the watch head is the foreground, clearly visible. And so if you have the feeling that you have a watch and the watch head doesn't deliver so much impact, then you can enhance that by adding contrast to the strap. All right, so this is a good, very good trick, I think, and you see here clearly that it works. And now let's speak briefly about material. Here you have the staple, cowhide, and cordovan delivers more shine. The longevity is better here, but it's of course more expensive. And then you have something I'd like to address. This is exotic leather like lizard. For example, there you have a piece of real lizard leather. You see a little symbol. And this adds, of course, a lot to a watch ensemble. The problem here is that they're expensive. The longevity is not so great, and sometimes these straps come from sources I personally don't want to be connected with, because this can be a very grim business when you have alligators and lizards farmed, especially for the leather. I'm not super comfortable with that. And many people feel that way, and then they try to substitute this material with fake alligator and fake lizard. Let me find an example. Here you find fake alligator. And to be honest, I wouldn't do it. It looks terrible. It looks cheap. This is calf leather with a print on it, and it looks exactly like that. Or here you have fake lizard. And the difference is absolutely visible. And so my tip is, forget it, basically. And if you really love that texture and you don't want to buy an original, then try it with lizard, not with alligator. Alligator always looks terrible. And try it with a darker color. Here you have fake lizard on that loyer in a very dark tone. And here it actually looks okay. You can't spot the difference. But it's not so visible because of the smaller pattern, the smaller scale of the pattern, and the dark color. Contrast stitching, bit a matter of taste, a matter of debate. I personally stay away from it, or I keep it very, very limited. Here, for example, that Festina strap is a bit rustic, right? It's a bit rustic, a bit casual, so no problem with that. Then you have here this finer Duby and Schaldenbrand strap with that texture of the leather. Actually, I don't know what kind of leather it is in this second, I have to admit. But for my taste here, this contrast stitching goes against the formality and elegance of the strap. This material needs some room to shine, really. And this creates some sort of disturbance. So I prefer when you have a very delicate and interesting looking surface, then I would prefer some room so that you really can't see it. That's, by the way, the reason why I created my Racing Red strap without so much stitching, because then you have more room for the beautiful color that shines, right? That's the reason behind it. And so if you have very luxurious material, like for example this cordovan, I would go with a matching stitching. Otherwise it can look, at best it can look a bit casual, but in most cases it diminishes the optical value, so to speak, of the strap. I don't know if this was proper English. Very sorry. By the way, this is an interesting watch. This is a prototype of a Smith's Transglobal. Eddie Platts gifted me one some years ago. Very interesting. There are some differences to the final product, but for a collector, of course, very cool to have something like that as a testimony of watch development. Welcome back. I hope you found this interesting and helpful, and I really hope that you're able now to achieve some pleasant results with your watches just by changing the strap, and then you have something you have never seen before in front of you and you say, wow, I really discovered another facet, another angle here to enjoy that watch. And that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.